We want to talk about the med students right now and talk about some of the announcement made by the Minister of Health at PostGrad last Thursday. I have with me the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Students Association President, Mr. Jonathan Edwards, who is also a fifth-year student, and Tristan Ali, who is closer to me, Faculty of Medical Sciences representative, UWI Guild of Students, and a fourth-year student. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure having you all. I know you guys are a bit busy this morning, so it's an absolute pleasure to have you all come on this morning. The Minister of Health had made several announcements, plans for the med students and the health sector. One of the announcements that he made would have been concerning GATE, and government would be asking students to pay back their GATE fees if they do not work in the public sector or work for a period of time. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, when it comes to GATE, there is obviously information online, and the layout of the agreement is there also. Now, having perused it last night, and for the past couple of weeks, we have been getting calls from people asking us, what are we doing about it? What is there in place? And the fact of the matter is, it does state very clearly that there must be either public or private sector return of pay for the loan agreement, I would say, put in words, given to the government, to the students. Now, the question then arises that the minister spoke about there are three options for students. And one of them included going away to foreign countries such as the US, Canada, and Australia to further medical training. But in light of that, how are students going to go away if they are mandated to stay in the country to work? And are the jobs available? The second thing is that in the private sector, I believe the Medical Association spoke about, is it feasible to have young doctors go into the medical field and private practice fresh out of medical school after internship? Do they need the experience? And is the government going to work with the private sector to ensure that there's a mentorship, if there has to be, to employ all young doctors?
What are your thoughts?
It's similar to the currently existing scholarship contract, which currently exists, where, again, the students are mandated to work for the government for a given period of time following their graduation. My knowledge for the scholarship agreement, however, it can be deferred to a certain extent to allow for further studies. If this applies to GATE, we are unable to comment at this point in time because I do not know the full disclosure.
So the minister needs to come out and give some more information as it relates to that, because it can leave some people to speculate and that can cause some problems.
Of course.
Yeah. You mentioned that issue of job availability for students just coming out of medical school. Yeah? Is that a real problem that medical students face? Are you aware of that?
Yes, it is a real problem. And I've seen where the minister and also various bodies have quoted numbers, deeming how many unemployments we have, right? And the question I have to ask is that, do we have enough information to make an informed opinion? Does the public have that information as well to make an informed opinion? And for us young doctors to make a decision of what do we do the rest of our lives? Do we go abroad and seek employment? Do we look, is it available here? So my question is the documentation available currently to the public, right? That shows the statistics of the number of jobs available, the specialties that are needed, of course, because I think that's a big topic recently, the importation of foreign doctors to fill specialty positions, right? The ratio of the number of applicants that have applied to these sectors, right? Whether it be, the minister spoke about rural areas. Have there been applicants in these rural areas? He also spoke about social media, that there were ad campaigns and campaigns on social media to show that there have been job availabilities. But like Jonathan and I were discussing, especially in the medical faculty and as student presidents, when it comes to our clubs, social media, I mean, it's cliche, but it has been advancing very rapidly. And Facebook and Instagram provides insights into how many people view your pages, the type of people that views it as well. So it's no longer about how many people it reaches, but is it reaching the demographic that you are targeting?
And this would then talk to the necessary collaboration that needs to take place between the ministry as well as the student representatives. As we have greater access to the students, we have greater reach in terms of talking to these target groups which they focus on targeting. So what we're asking is that if there is information available, if it can be circulated through the various student councils and student associations, so they can increase the reach of the various stakeholders and to forward their plans and their ambitions to overall impact positively the nation as a whole.
Is it that there aren't jobs, or that when people graduate, they just don't want to go into the rural communities? Because the minister did raise that concern. He said that there are jobs, but the doctors just don't want to go far away.
As Tristan was speaking about, we don't have any concrete information, at least online or available to us, that would mandate and that would dictate exactly what's been putting forward. In the real world applications, we see a lot of persons work within the hospitals and they typically get low-term contracts which last 2 to 3 months. Whether they get the opportunity or even the information that there are jobs available in the health centers and the community is left to be said. We don't have the information to speak on that right now, but there is an issue in terms of persons who have graduated who are unable to seek employment and gain job security for an extended period of time due to the lack of availability within public hospitals.
But then there are plans to bring in doctors from Cuba. What are your thoughts?
So what was mentioned is that we're going to bring in specialty doctors, which are the doctors who have completed a postgraduate degree and are specialized in certain areas and subspecialty areas. Again, the information is sort of cloudy with respect to that, but it can be seen from a clinical perspective that there are a lack within these certain subspecialty groups, as there is an issue of brain drain which exists in the country to the degree of which we cannot speak about right now, but it's ascribed that there are certain specialty areas which are not offered within this country and needs to be sourced from outside, whether it be foreign training or whether it be individuals with the capacity to teach it at a local level. So our hope is that we'll actually, with the influx, if they do bring in these specialty doctors, that is there a training program, is there a mentorship program which will allow for the capacity building and the knowledge building of our current physicians to reach that level, to serve the people in which the culture that they're brought up in, to give back to the community.
And I would like to add to what he said in that realm as well, is that there needs to be clarification. So if there are these specialties that were listed, it was a very broad heading. And I think we need to make it public and make it known that these are a list of subspecialties that we are planning to employ the foreign doctors in. And in light of that, exactly as Jonathan said, it needs to be mandated and clear to the public, because the people who pay their taxes and expect an efficient health system, what it is these people are coming to do, and are we going to train our local doctors under them? Is it just to fill a position, or are we going to expand the units, in a sense, to have further mentoring of our young doctors?
Yeah. Well, there are plans as well, as the minister said, to make the Couva Hospital a teaching hospital and also to make the Scarborough Hospital a teaching hospital. So, as you said, the minister probably needs to come out now and see what is the real plan if they're bringing in doctors and how that is going to help the young doctors in Trinidad and Tobago. So a lot of questions the minister still has to answer.
I'd like just to add really quickly. It was published within the Pan American Health Organization in the Country Cooperating Strategy for 2017-2021. It did mention the creation and the work in progress of a 10-year manpower plan, which essentially looks to evaluate the current system as it is, the amount of specialties that are available, and the gaps in human resources and how they plan to address it over the next 10 years. It is a work in progress. The information is not available to the public as yet, but it is of note that they are working on it from the administrative level. So hopefully when that study and that evaluation is completed, we can see real world applications.
Yeah. I want to just get into a different conversation now to talk about the challenges, if any, med students face.
Well, to that end, as faculty rep, a lot of times I think the public forgets that it's not just MBBS. We have our doctors of veterinary medicine, we have our dentists, our optometrists, our nurses, and our pharmacists. It goes way beyond just the MBBS realm. And to that end, I'd like to speak on some national issues. Is there efficient allocation of funds to the different health sectors? Is there room for expansion? Do we need expansion? Do we need more resources in different health sectors, such as veterinary medicine? Yeah. In terms of the students, we do hold the same issues that the national population does. We are scared of job security. I think that's the biggest issue right now that's facing us. Our national security for our doctors and for our general public, we share the same fears. And we hope those things to be dealt with. The university does its best and it's in allocating funds. And I think the country as a whole, at further to the university, needs to work towards efficiency. And that ensure that there is transparency in the allocation of funds and that we, the public, see what is going on in the health sector and how their money is being used, because there needs to be efficiency in the system.
You should.
So yes, again, the issue of job security does seem to come up as a major issue, as well as national security, as was mentioned. We believe, again, it is on our part to inform the students of the upcoming opportunities, as in the opening of the area Point Fortin Hospital, the opening of the Arima Hospital. We have the belief that in terms of the job availability, but with the opening of these hospitals, that these issues may be alleviated to some extent, and it's our job to sort of calm the fears of these students by spreading this information so that they can make a more informed decision about what their future is going to be like and how their prospects looking forward as they progress within the medical field.
And in addition to what Jonathan said with the opening of these hospitals, it's a great thing for us, and kudos to those involved in the making of these things a reality, of course, but we would like to know, especially when these things are open, there needs to be full clarification. We need to know what is needed by the hospital, what specialties do we need, what is the country lacking? And we hope those things are come to light.
Yeah. Because you always hear that you know, med students, to become a doctor, it takes so much of work. And to have the concern then, after you finished 5 years and then you do more training and you continue going to school, because it's a process that you have to worry about having a job at the end of the day. But I want to get so people can understand the type of training that young doctors do.
Right. Well, Jonathan and I are currently clinical students.
Yeah.
I can speak for MBBS. You know, we have 3 years of pre and paraclinical, where we do a lot of classroom work and studies of the workings of the body. And then we get into year 4 and 5, which is clinical rotations. And yes, the rooms are true, the hours are very demanding, but it is, to me personally, taking off my hat as guild representative is very fulfilling. You know, and I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. Those in veterinary medicine, I think, share the same sentiments, as well as all the other faculties. We do this because of the love for it. You know?
So as it is right now, we are afforded the opportunity to essentially join a clinical unit within a different hospital. We're attached to a team which is have the standard hierarchy of any team except we're the students. We're mandated to serve them in terms of helping out in small ways in which you can make the team a little bit more efficient, to sort of have a role that is not just a teaching role, not as a receptacle, but giving back and helping and aiding in the management of patients. Again, as you mentioned, the hours are long, it takes a lot of time, and we do have to study on top of all these other responsibilities. But however, it really does build you in a capacity, it builds your integrity as a person, it builds your communication skills, and it helps you adapt to the current culture in which you're planning to serve these patients and improve them overall, not only in their health, but in their holistic well-being. So.
And to add to that, in what Jonathan said, you know, I think that the health system needs to be, its mandate is patient-centered care. And for us being exposed at this early age to dealing with patients and having to expose how doctors treated patients and how, you know, things are developed, you know, a plan is made and how the families are dealt with, right? It's something that helps us a lot. So that when we go out into the real world, it's not just, a avalanche of things coming towards you. We know how to deal with real world problems. And it gives us great joy. I mean, seeing that a family of a loved one was healed and the doctor had some part in that, or some sort of consolement if things don't go well, you know, and you really see the joy, you know, and some of the doctors' faces and our mentors and even us of this kind of exposure.
Yeah, I must just reiterate that this is something that, even though it sounds standard, it sounds like something that should be done within every health system, within every health university. It's not 100% practice on a global level. So we're actually afforded a great opportunity, and we're very lucky as individuals to be part of such a system which allows for on-the-job training per se, as well as exposure to the cultures and the communities and the personalities in which we're going to face further in our career.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I would like to thank you both for coming in and chatting with us, but I need to get your final comments.
Sure, my final comments would be, as the health system, you know, to the general public and the taxpayers, you know, that, you know, we need to be a little patient, and there are things that will bear fruit, you know, but for that to happen, those in power and those in charge of those funds, etc., need to be responsible, understand that they are accountable to the population, and the population has a right to know what is going on. And I do hope that further clarification is given through the next coming weeks in terms of all the topics we have discussed this morning, so that there will be no room for speculation, as you quite mentioned.
Yeah. I would like to say that there are a lot of things that are going on at the stakeholder level. There are a lot of things, a lot of plans that are being put in place to overall benefit the population, the healthcare profession, as well as the population as a whole. I believe there should just be a little more communication in putting forward these issues and putting forward this information and these plans to not only the various health professions, but the health professional students, to calm the fears, to spread the information, and to allow for greater confidence and greater clarity, as Tristan mentioned, to better allow the students to make more informed decisions and allow them to know where their futures are headed.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Jonathan Edwards, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Students Association and a fifth-year MBBS student, and also to Tristan Ali, faculty of Medical Sciences representative on the UWI Guild of Students and a fourth-year MBBS student. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you on Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago. This is Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago. We take a break and come back with more.